What really happened before colonization? Before colonization, Africa wasn't undeveloped. That idea, that's what I call a silent rewrite. A version of history that sounds true but actually removes everything that came before it. And once you see it, you'll start questioning everything you were taught. You're probably thinking, if Africa was already advanced, why don't we hear about it? Exactly. Because what was removed wasn't small. Before any European powers set foot on African soil to control it, there were already organized societies across the continent. Not one, but thousands. In West Africa, empires rose with structured governments. In East Africa, coastal cities traded across oceans. In Southern Africa, entire stone cities were built from the ground up. This wasn't survival. This was civilization. But here's where it starts to get uncomfortable. Take Mansa Musa. You've probably heard the name before, but not the full story. In the 1300s, he ruled the Mali Empire, a region sitting on some of the world's richest gold reserves. When he went on pilgrimage to Mecca, he didn't travel alone. He moved with thousands of soldiers, servants, and camels carrying gold. So much gold that when he passed through Egypt, he gave it away so freely it caused inflation that lasted for years. That's not a myth. That's recorded history. Historians and economic records from Cairo confirm this event. Gold lost value temporarily because supply flooded the market. Now think about that for a second. How does a continent described as poor produce the richest man in history? It doesn't, unless the story you were told is incomplete. And Mansa Musa wasn't the only example. Let's talk about Great Zimbabwe, a massive stone city built between the 11th and 15th century. No cement, no modern tools, but perfectly structured stone walls that are still standing today. And you might be wondering, how do you build something that strong without modern technology? Because this wasn't random. The stones were carefully shaped and stacked in a way that made the walls stable on their own. It required planning, skill, and coordination. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Archaeologists didn't just find stone walls. They found evidence of organized construction, signs that many people worked together, and objects that didn't come from the area, like Chinese porcelain and Persian glass beads. Now think about that for a second. How does a city in southern Africa end up with items from across the world? It doesn't happen by accident. It happens through trade. This means Great Zimbabwe wasn't isolated. It was connected to wider trade networks, linking it to the East African coast and beyond. But here's what most people completely miss. This wasn't just a city, it was a center of power, a place where wealth moved, where decisions were made, and where systems already existed long before colonization. Africa wasn't cut off from the world, it was deeply connected. Across the Sahara Desert, trade routes moved gold, salt, ivory, and textiles. Caravans traveled for weeks, linking entire regions together. For example, the city of Timbuktu became one of the most important centers of learning in the world. Scholars studied mathematics, astronomy, and law. Thousands of manuscripts still exist today. So now you're seeing it clearly. This wasn't just survival, this was advancement. But instead of being remembered that way, it was simplified. Now here's something important. This wasn't a perfect world. There were wars, political struggles, internal slavery systems, and this is where people make a mistake. They see conflict and assume lack of civilization. But actually, conflict is a sign of structured societies, because power only exists where systems exist. And then, everything changed. This wasn't a slow decline, it was a disruption, a major one. I call this moment the system break. Historically, it's known as the scramble for Africa. European powers divided Africa without considering cultures, languages, and existing kingdoms. Borders split communities. Trade routes were redirected. Resources were extracted, and systems that had existed for centuries were replaced in decades. Now you're starting to see the bigger picture. This wasn't just control of land. It was control of the narrative. Before, Africa was seen as powerful, structured, and deeply connected through trade, knowledge, and complex societies. Then something shifted. Africa started being described as underdeveloped, disconnected, and dependent. But here's the key thing. This didn't happen because Africa suddenly changed overnight. The land didn't collapse. The people didn't become less capable. The systems didn't just disappear. What changed was the story being told about it. Take Great Zimbabwe, for instance. For years, some early outsiders refused to believe that such a massive stone city could have been built by Africans. So instead of studying the evidence properly, alternative theories were pushed, suggesting outside origins. But later archaeological research proved otherwise. It was built by local African societies with advanced engineering and organization. Now think about what that means. If one of the clearest examples of African achievement was once misrepresented, how many other parts of history were also rewritten or misunderstood? Because once a narrative is repeated long enough, it starts to feel like truth, even when it isn't. And that's why this matters. History isn't just about what happened, it's also about who gets to tell the story. Before colonization, Africa had empires, wealth, knowledge, and systems. But more than that, it had a story, one that was never fully told. And this is only the beginning. If this is the kind of history you were never taught in school, then make sure you stay tuned. Because in the next part, we go even deeper into what was hidden and why it still matters today. Don't just hear history, question it,